Are your aquarium plants consistently dying or not thriving in your aquarium? Don't worry, you're not alone. I've been there too. Today, I'm going to break down the 5 reasons to why your aquarium plants are dying or not thriving in your aquarium and how you can solve every single issue right here. So let's go right into this and show you exactly how you can make your aquarium plants thrive right now. Now, reason number one is improper lighting. So as you can see right here, I have this Trihuros lighting. It is a powerful light. And basically what a lot of people do is they get these large, powerful lights, and what's gonna happen is an algae breakout. Yes, your plants are gonna thrive, but they're not gonna outcompete the algae that's gonna be blooming in your aquarium. So you wanna make sure that you're optimizing your light for the proper plants that you have in here. So from a high density light, I typically keep mine on to the 6 to 8 hour rule when I don't start a new aquarium. So this is after about 4 weeks, maybe 6 weeks when the planted aquarium is finally cycled. I don't have to worry about outcompeting with algae at that first point because all of my plants are rooted and they're going to start thriving and pulling in um, that photosynthesis from the light itself while pulling nutrients out of the water. So if you're a beginner, you want to make sure you get the proper light that has a light switch that can actually reduce the quality of the RGB hues that are going into your aquarium and the time that it's on as well. So just be aware when you're first starting out, lighting is one of those biggest mistakes. Typically when I'm first cycling my aquarium, it's around 4 to 5 hours for the first 4 weeks until I'm able to ramp it up. You don't want to have too less where you don't have enough lighting so your plants aren't growing. So it's that fine little middle balance. Once you find it, then start increasing as you're getting longer into the aquarium life that you have as well. Reason number two is going to be not enough nutrients in your aquarium or too much nutrients in your aquarium. You have to find that perfect balance with what your plants need to feed off of in order for them to flourish. So first and foremost, if you're not having enough nutrients and your aquarium plants aren't growing as fast as you've seen them, they have stunted growth, you have the right lighting, right? Which we just went over, and you're not seeing enough growth in that aquarium, it's probably from a nutrients imbalance. You're not having enough nutrients in the water, which will bring you to step three because you don't have the right substrate, but also maybe adding liquid fertilizer or root tabs into that aquarium. So you want to make sure you're not adding too much where you're swinging and you're having too much algae in your aquarium from the light with too much overabundance of nutrients. But you want to have enough where your plants are getting some additional nutrients intake if you don't have enough waste coming from your aquarium life. Either way, you're going to need some nutrients if you have a ton of plants in your aquarium because they need that additional macronutrients in that aquarium. So my simple fix for that is an all-in-one fertilizer. I use 2 Hour Aquarius APT3 because I have life in my aquarium, so I don't want too much nutrients in there. All-in-one fertilizers are the best go-to. Again, mine is the 2 Hour Aquarius. That will solve your problem. Just read the instructions on how much volume of water you have for how much you need to add into your aquarium. The third reason is that you chose the wrong substrate for your planted aquarium. Sand and gravel will not cut it for your aquarium when you're starting it out or any time. Sand and gravel are not going to help your rooted plants. Now, these aren't your epiphytes that feed off the water column because you're gonna, no matter what, need macronutrients into that water column. Your rooted plants, in order for them to thrive, like you see here, all comes down to specifically your substrate. So you want to make sure you have a nutrients packed substrate. That can be from root tabs or contra soil. You need nutrient dense substrate in order to create a thriving planted aquarium. So make sure when you're going through and adding plants into your aquarium, it's not just gravel and sand. You have some type of nutrient dense layer in that substrate or adding in root tabs or some other additives like contra soil into that aquarium to add additional nutrients for those rooted plants, and that will make them flourish. The fourth mistake is going to be coming down to picking the wrong plants for your aquarium. When you're first starting out, you're just picking some plants that you think are going to thrive in your aquarium, but you're not realizing you're picking plants that do require a high amount of CO2 in that aquarium for them to thrive. So I highly recommend when you're going through and searching for your aquarium plants, you read the description. Like I go to Boost Plants and in there they have a description that talks about the plant requirements, or just grabbing the name of that plant, plugging it into Google and having Google search for you and tell you if it needs CO2. A lot of folks go through in the hobby when they're first starting out and they get some plants and they're like, these are going to look great. They do right off the start. You have plant melt or no growth at all because they need that CO2 uptake in the aquarium. My tip is sticking to more hardy plants, things like buces, ferns, crypts. Those will thrive in any startup aquarium and you don't have to worry about them. They're low maintenance and they do not need CO2. So just remember, pick the right plants when you're first starting out. Now, what is the fifth reason plants suffer? And that comes down to unstable water parameters. So again, I highly recommend when you're first starting out in the hobby is making sure you have stable water parameters. Plants hate large fluctuations in different water parameters. They like a stable water environment. So I highly recommend doing, again, 10 to 20% water changes in your aquarium at least weekly to 2 weeks when you're first starting out, especially when you got a brand new aquarium. Now, I'm not saying 30 to 40%, 10 to 20% when you're first starting out to create that stable water parameters in your aquarium. Now, that quickly makes your aquarium plants seem healthy and all the life, so it's a win-win for you as well. So we just went through and covered the 5 reasons why your aquarium plants do not thrive. We talked about keeping proper lighting 6 to 8 hours once you've had that cycle phase over. We went through and talked about going through and dosing nutrients, macronutrients, all-in-one fertilizers in your aquarium. We went through and talked about the use of nutrient-rich substrate and how important that is for your stem plants. We also talked about plant selection, right? What plants are you going through and getting correctly for that aquarium that you're about to set up? We also went through and talked about creating stable parameters for your aquarium by making sure you're doing consistent water changes every week to bi-weekly in your aquarium to create that flourishing environment for your aquarium. Now, if you follow these easy steps, your aquarium plants will stop dying and start thriving. I'd love to hear from you and what problems you're struggling with your aquarium plants. Leave a comment below. I reply to every single one of them. And hope you enjoyed this video. And until next time, well, no, check out my latest video right here. And now, until next time, I'll see you all on the next video.